A 72-year-old Australian pensioner woke up on a Wednesday morning expecting her Centrelink payment to arrive, just as it had every fortnight for years. But this time, the money never came. No text message, no letter, no warning. Just an empty bank account and a question that thousands of older Australians are asking themselves right now in 2026. How could this happen when I didn't do anything wrong? The answer is disturbing, because in many cases, people are not losing access to their Centrelink payments because they missed a deadline, broke a rule, or forgot to submit paperwork. They are losing access because of 3 payment changes and security risks that most Australians receiving government benefits still don't know exist. And by the time many people discover the problem, the money has already gone. My name is Mason Parker. For more than a decade, I have studied retirement income systems, pension programs, and the financial rules that affect older Australians every single year. Today, I'm going to show you 3 Centrelink payment changes affecting Australians in 2026 that every recipient of the age pension, disability support pension, carer payment, and other government benefits needs to understand right now. One of these changes is creating a window that scammers are actively exploiting across Australia. Another could affect Australians who changed bank accounts years ago and believe everything is still working correctly. And the third is a simple protection step that takes less than 5 minutes, but could prevent weeks of financial stress. Before we begin, subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because next week I'll be covering an Australian retirement and pension rule that thousands of older Australians believe is permanent, when in reality, there may still be a limited opportunity to review it. Most people discover that option too late. Subscribe now so you don't. Now, before we discuss the 3 changes, there is one important piece of context you need to understand. Over the past several years, Services Australia has continued expanding and strengthening electronic payment systems. Today, almost every Australian receiving Centrelink benefits receives those payments directly into a bank account. But here is what almost nobody talks about. Switching to electronic payments and making sure those payments are connected to your correct and current banking information are 2 completely different things. And right now, in 2026, that gap is creating 3 separate problems that are catching thousands of Australians completely off guard. Change number 1 involves electronic payment arrangements and special support options that many Australians do not realise exist. Change number 2 is where the real danger begins, and it has very little to do with Centrelink itself. And change number 3 creates a confusion window around payment dates that scammers know exactly how to exploit. Stay with me through all 3. Because change number 2 is already costing Australians money today. The move toward electronic payments is not new. What is new is how important it has become to make sure your banking information is completely accurate and fully protected. And there are 2 groups of Australians who remain vulnerable, even if they believe they sorted everything out years ago. Let me explain what has actually happened and why it matters. Services Australia has continued encouraging electronic payments because they are significantly safer, faster, and more reliable than older payment methods. Electronic payments reduce delays, reduce fraud risks, and ensure that government benefits reach recipients more efficiently. The financial and security case for electronic payments is overwhelming. If you have not reviewed your payment arrangements recently, now is the time to do it. For most Australians, there are 2 practical options available. Option 1 is direct deposit into a traditional Australian bank account. Log into your MyGov account, access your Centrelink profile, and review your payment details. Confirm that your BSB number and account number exactly match your current active account. Updates usually process quickly under the current system. You can also contact Services Australia directly, and a representative can assist you in reviewing or updating your payment details. Option 2 applies to Australians who face genuine barriers to managing electronic banking arrangements. This option is far less well known. For older Australians who struggle with digital services due to health conditions, accessibility challenges, or geographical isolation, additional support services and alternative arrangements may be available through Services Australia and community support organisations. Here is the part that almost no coverage of these changes has properly explained. Special assistance arrangements can sometimes be made available for Australians facing genuine and documented barriers to managing electronic payments independently. 2 circumstances are particularly important. The first is a documented medical, cognitive, or mental health condition that makes managing digital banking services extremely difficult without assistance. The second is living in a remote location with limited access to banking services or reliable communications infrastructure. If you or someone you care about falls into either category, contacting Services Australia directly may provide access to additional support while a practical long-term solution is established. Most people watching this will not require those arrangements, but knowing that support exists means that Australians facing genuine hardship have options, rather than simply missing payments with no explanation. Now let's talk about the much larger and far more overlooked group. This is exactly where the woman from Queensland at the beginning of this video found herself. If you updated your banking information at any point during the last 2 or 3 years, there is a possibility that your payment information may no longer be completely current, even if your payments have continued arriving without interruption. Here is why. Bank mergers, closed accounts, updated banking arrangements, changes to BSB numbers. All of these can create a disconnect between the information held by Services Australia and the account you actually use today. And when that connection breaks, your next payment may have nowhere to go. You may not receive a warning, you may not receive a phone call, you may simply check your account on payment day and discover that your money is not there. Services Australia cannot fix a mismatch it does not know exists. The payment is sent to the account currently on file. If that account is no longer active, the payment is returned and the process of tracing and reissuing the money can take days. Days during which your bills still need to be paid and your prescriptions still need to be filled. Here is how to verify your information right now. Log into your MyGov account, open your Centrelink profile, and review the banking details attached to your payments. Confirm that the BSB number and account number exactly match the account you actively use today, not the account you used 2 years ago, not the account from a bank that later merged with another institution, the account that is open and operating right now. If you do not have online access, contact Services Australia directly and ask them to confirm the banking information currently linked to your payments. Compare those details with your current banking records. This process takes only a few minutes. Assuming everything is correct, simply because recent payments arrived successfully, is exactly the kind of assumption that leaves Australians without a payment and without understanding why. Change number 2 is where the real danger begins, and I want to be very clear about this. The electronic payment system itself is not the threat. The threat is what criminals are doing with the cover these payment changes provide. They have studied government verification procedures in extraordinary detail, and they are now impersonating those procedures step by step, targeting older Australians at the exact moment when a conversation about account verification sounds completely legitimate. Here is how it works in 2026. An older Australian receives a phone call. The caller claims to represent Centrelink, Services Australia, MyGov, or another Australian government payment department. They explain that because of updated payment security procedures in 2026, the recipient's banking information must be verified to ensure uninterrupted payments. They have your name. Sometimes they even have part of your bank account information. They sound professional, they sound urgent. Then they ask for your BSB number, your account number, your MyGov login details, or a one-time verification code that has just been sent to your phone. The moment any of that information is provided, the scammer can attempt to redirect your payment, access your accounts, or steal your identity. Under today's digital systems, account changes can be processed very quickly. A payment that was supposed to arrive on Wednesday can potentially be redirected before you even realize there is a problem. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission's Scam Watch program, along with Services Australia, has documented a pattern that appears repeatedly in government impersonation scams. No matter how the scam begins, it usually follows the same 4-step sequence. First comes pretend. The caller pretends to be from Centrelink, Services Australia, MyGov, the Australian Taxation Office, or another government agency. They may use caller ID spoofing, so the number on your phone appears legitimate. They may already know enough personal information about you to sound convincing. Next comes problem. They present an urgent issue, a suspended payment, a flagged account, an unverified banking record, or a security concern that supposedly requires immediate action. Then comes pressure. They create a deadline, usually within 24 to 48 hours, sometimes even sooner. The urgency is designed to stop you from slowing down, contacting family members, or independently verifying the information with Services Australia. Finally comes payment information. They ask for your banking details, your MyGov credentials, your identification information, or a one-time security code. No matter how the conversation begins, this is where it always ends. Pretend, problem, pressure, payment information. If you find yourself in a conversation following this pattern, you are not speaking with the government. End the call immediately. You can report suspected scams through Scamwatch Australia and directly to Services Australia. These reports help authorities identify scam operations and warn other Australians before more people lose money. Here is the rule I want you to remember. Legitimate government agencies do not unexpectedly call you and ask you to verify your banking details over the phone. Not by phone, not by text message, not through a random email. If Services Australia needs to contact you about your account, they will usually communicate through your official MyGov inbox, through secure channels, or by requesting that you contact them directly. The direction only goes one way. You contact them. They do not unexpectedly contact you asking for sensitive banking information. It does not matter how official the caller sounds. It does not matter if the number on your phone appears legitimate. It does not matter if they already know some of your personal details. The call itself is the scam. One sentence is all you need. I do not provide account information during unsolicited phone calls. Then hang up. Now here is the single most important protection step in this entire section, and one that many older Australians still have not taken. Create and secure your MyGov account today. When your MyGov account is properly set up with strong security features, you receive notifications whenever significant changes are made to your account information. If someone attempts to access your account or alter your payment details, you can become aware of it immediately rather than discovering the problem days later when your payment fails to arrive. If you do not have a secure MyGov account established, someone who obtains enough personal information about you may attempt to impersonate you online. Creating and securing your account yourself closes that opportunity. Setting up account security takes approximately 15 minutes. You will need identification documents, an email address, and a mobile phone number. Once everything is configured, it works quietly in the background and alerts you only when something important changes. If setting up MyGov feels overwhelming, ask a trusted family member or friend to help you complete it. Once it is done, it requires very little ongoing effort. It simply protects you. Now let's talk about change number 3. This is the one almost nobody has been warned about properly. Not because of what it does to your payment, but because of the opportunity it creates for scammers. Under older payment systems, many recipients became accustomed to receiving payments on predictable dates month after month. Bills, prescriptions, rent, and household expenses were often planned around those dates. The predictability still exists under the electronic payment system, but many Australians remain uncertain about exactly when to expect their payments. And that uncertainty creates what I call the confusion window. The confusion window is where scammers thrive. Here is why understanding your payment schedule matters. Age pension, disability support pension, carer payment, and many other Centrelink payments generally follow regular fortnightly payment cycles assigned to each recipient. The exact date depends on your individual payment schedule. Write down your payment date. Set a recurring reminder on your phone or calendar. Know when your payment is due before the date arrives, not after it passes. That simple habit removes much of the vulnerability scammers rely on. The period between expecting a payment and believing that payment may be late is when scammers become most active. They know when many government payments are issued. They know that anxiety increases when expected money does not appear. And they understand that someone who is worried about missing a payment is much more likely to trust a caller who claims to have a solution. The scammer does not need to create the anxiety. The anxiety already exists. They simply position themselves as the answer. That is the mechanism. The confusion window is the vulnerability, and understanding your payment schedule is one of the best ways to close it. If your expected payment date arrives and your money has not appeared, follow this rule. Wait 3 full business days before assuming something has gone wrong. Most payment delays are caused by banking processing times, weekends, public holidays, or temporary system delays. Many resolve themselves without any action at all. The payment is often already in the system. It simply has not been posted yet. Making urgent calls, responding to unknown callers, or providing information during those first few days is exactly when scammers are most likely to target you. If your payment still has not arrived after 3 business days, follow this sequence. Step 1. Contact your bank directly using the telephone number printed on your debit card. Ask whether a payment is pending or whether there is a processing delay. Many issues are resolved at this stage. Step 2. If your bank confirms that no payment has been received, contact Services Australia directly using the contact details you obtain yourself from the official Services Australia website. Do not use a number provided by a caller. Do not use a number from a suspicious text message. Use only official contact information. Step 3. If you received suspicious phone calls, text messages, or emails while your payment was missing, report them to Scamwatch Australia and Services Australia immediately. Under older payment systems, changes to banking details often took longer to process. That processing time gave banks, government systems, and fraud detection teams more opportunity to identify unusual activity before any serious damage occurred. Under today's fully digital payment systems, updates to your banking information can sometimes be processed extremely quickly. That speed works entirely in your favor when you need to make a legitimate change. But it also means that if a scammer gains access to your personal information and attempts to change your payment details, the change could potentially take effect before your next payment cycle. The amount of time available to detect and reverse fraudulent activity has become significantly smaller. This is why checking your payment details now, before there is a problem, is not simply a good idea. It is one of the most important forms of protection available. Identifying a mismatch before a payment fails is straightforward. Recovering money after it has already been redirected is considerably more difficult and can take substantially longer. There is one final step in this entire process that costs absolutely nothing and takes less than 2 minutes to put into place. Tell one trusted family member or close friend 3 specific things. Which bank receives your Centrelink payment, what your expected payment date is, and what the 3 business day rule means. Then agree on one simple rule. If either of you receives a phone call claiming to be from Centrelink, Services Australia, MyGov, or any government agency regarding your payments, neither of you responds before speaking to the other first. Scammers depend on isolation. They depend on older Australians making decisions alone, under pressure, without having someone available to check with. The artificial urgency of 24 hours or 48 hours is designed specifically to prevent that conversation from happening. One trusted person and one shared understanding removes most of the scammer's advantage before they ever have the chance to use it. The phone call can wait. Your family member may not always be physically present, but if the habit already exists before the call arrives, the scammer's most powerful weapon, urgency combined with isolation, stops working. Now let me bring all 3 changes together into one simple checklist so you know exactly what to do after this video ends. First, if you have not checked your Centrelink payment information recently, log into your MyGov account and review your banking details today. Confirm that your BSB number and account number exactly match the account you actively use. If you changed banks, closed an account, or updated your banking arrangements during the last 2 or 3 years, update your information immediately. Do not wait until a payment fails. Second, create or log into your MyGov account and ensure all available security settings are enabled. This is one of the strongest protections available to Australians receiving government payments. It helps alert you if unusual activity occurs and reduces the chances of someone attempting to access your account without your knowledge. Third, write down your exact Centrelink payment date. Set a recurring reminder on your phone or calendar. Memorize the 3 business day rule. If your payment does not arrive on the expected day, wait 3 full business days before assuming something has gone wrong. Many delays resolve without any action at all. Responding to unexpected calls during that period is exactly when scammers are most successful. If your payment is still missing after 3 business days, first, contact your bank directly. Second, contact Services Australia using contact information obtained from the official Services Australia website. Never use a phone number provided by an unsolicited caller. And finally, tell one trusted person your payment date, your bank, and your 3 business day rule. Agree that neither of you will ever respond to an unexpected government payment call without speaking to the other first. Now I want to speak directly to anyone watching who realized somewhere during this video that their payment information might not be current, or that they have been worrying about missing payments without understanding the 3 business day rule, or that they have never properly secured their MyGov account. If that describes you, the next step is not watching another video. The next step is putting every important financial protection, every government contact, every security measure, and every action step into one place so you can act today. That is exactly why I created the Senior Money Defence Playbook for Australians. It covers trusted contacts, joint account risks, banking protection strategies, deposit guarantees, common pension mistakes, healthcare cost traps, and several financial rules affecting older Australians in 2026 that very few people take the time to explain clearly. 60 pages, plain English, every important contact, every action step, every protection strategy. Written specifically for Australian seniors and retirees. If even one chapter prevents one financial mistake, the guide will have paid for itself many times over. The link is in the description below and in the channel bio. The guide is called the Senior Money Defence Playbook. Get it today because several important deadlines affecting Australians are approaching before the end of this calendar year. Subscribe and turn on notifications, and share this video with one person you know who receives a Centrelink payment. One conversation started by this video could save someone weeks of stress and keep their payment exactly where it belongs. I'll see you in the next video.